Please go to the diary room.
Every single season and learn everything that there is to know about everybody.
Please make your way to the diary room.
Celebrity, Breydon. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Diary Room, a Big Brother podcast where we're trying to find the best Big Brother player of all time across all the different North American franchises, of which there are many. I am, of course, Matt, here first, as always, with Aman. Aman, what's up?
Hello, everybody. I am great. Happy to be back as well, and super excited for the guest that we have today. So I'm really not trying to even bury the lead.
No, definitely not. The guest that we have with us today, one of the Big Brother Canada legends. The show had to end because he shut it down himself. So unfortunately, that's the case, but happy to have him here with us today. It is Anthony Douglas. Dougie, how are you?
I'm good, baby. I'm happy to be here live and direct, straight from the mountains of the Himalayas. We in the diary room, baby. I'm happy to be here, man.
Yes.
What a treat. What a freaking treat. We've, of course, talked to a couple of your other castmates from season 12. Anybody else? I don't think from season 7 just yet, but,
Nope.
Doesn't matter because we have you here today. So
that's all that matters, man.
Yes.
That's all that really matters.
This is very, very exciting because, like, wow, I mean, like, BBCAN, it is what it is, and it's the state that it's in right now, but it's still very much superior to our Big Brother down here in the States in more ways than one. So we're always really, really happy to get you and the rest of your alumni on the show. So thank you so much for making the time to come out and be with us here today. We hope you have a good time today.
And we need the life updates just to get right into it here because it's only been a year or so since the season ended, season 12. You and Victoria come back and you make it all the way to the end. But as soon as you got out of the house, life changed pretty quickly for you. If anybody hasn't been keeping up, what's the update?
So I come off the show after already having an insane year and then just doing this 2.5 month reality show. And the first day I come home, I find out that my girlfriend is expecting. We're expecting. And she was 2.5 months pregnant.
Wow.
So my son is here now. It's been a wild ride, to say the least. But that's life. I'm happy. I'm blessed. I wouldn't have it any other way.
A whirlwind of Big Brother to then come home to potentially creating a real life Big Brother. Who knows what the future may hold for you?
Honestly,
it's crazy. That's insane. So congratulations.
Just all the congratulations. So exciting. I mean, we watched you on 2 seasons of the show, play some, I have to tell you this, and crazy impressive gameplay. Just to see the monster of a game player that you are, and then come home and your heart just gets melted into this real life stuff. It's just all good, all fun.
Yeah. It's when you go on a show like that, you as you guys know, it's a lot of mental prep to get yourself into that space, to perform, to entertain, to whatever comes with it, and then to come off and have a baby and prepare to get into that space of being a father and what fatherhood is all like. It's 2 different ball games, but it's they're kind of relatable in the same point where it's like, you're thinking of how you're going to do this. Like, what are you going to do? How are you going to be the best player that you can be? And it's kind of the same thing with being a father. It's like, how can I be everything that I never had? You know what I'm saying? How can I raise a better version of myself? So it's been great. And yeah, I'm super blessed.
Yeah. And I mean, I know season 12 in general for you was a tough season to be away from home, and you had been going through some stuff as well. So just a total whirlwind. But aside from that, I mean, you show back up in season 12 and, another crazy impressive game. It gets you all the way to the end. Did you have time, to go from after the season to this real life news to process the season within yourself?
Yes and no. I feel like I just wanted to take a break. Like from literally from I had like these grand plans of like I remember thinking about this in November. You know, what am I going to do next year? I really want to execute on all of my goals. I feel like I do well with only half of my New Year's resolutions. This year, 2024, I'm going to absolutely crush. In December, my mom started going through a whole bunch of health problems. It was extremely scary. My best friend passes away in January. Struggling with all of this stuff. You know, I find out while I'm sequestered for the show, I've lost my career of 14 years. You know what I'm saying? So it was like just like blow after blow after blow. Then I come off the show and it's like, you're having a baby. We're having a baby. And it's like, bro, can I breathe?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sit down and just chill. Like, holy shit. Like, but this is like, you know, I learned a lot about myself during that and how I process things and, you know, like the escapes that I need to help with my mental health and things like that. So, you know, it was an extremely difficult year, the first half. But yeah, like I'm a better person because of it. And you know that saying, it's like you grow through what you go through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like sometimes you gotta really feel it to you know, level up and become who you're supposed to be. So yeah, it was a tough year, but you know, I can say I think I started to really process the show a couple months after. I kind of just skimmed through it. I was like, wow, okay, I was right about everything. I knew everything that was going on. You know what I mean? Like I liked that, you know, like they showed me more than they did in season 7. I was disappointed in season 7 because I felt like I did way more than they gave me. You know, I felt like the only way you would really know how crazy I was really moving in there is if you watch the live feeds.
And we were.
Isn't a thing for everybody, right? So
yeah.
For your standard person that just flips it on and, you know, on the couch and they don't really keep up with Twitter and all that, it's like,
yeah,
did this guy even get there?
Yeah. Well,
you know,
Aman, my question to you: do you have a favorite between the Dougie appearances, season 7 or season 12?
Oh, that's interesting because I feel like, I think it has to be 7 for me because I think so many of us like sort of had this pre-existing notion. I mean, Anthony, I mean, you're packaged the way that you are. You're this big specimen of a human being that I feel like a lot of us were like, okay, well, this is we've seen this story before. But then to see how...
Wait, I got it. I called it from day one. My claim to fame is clocking Anthony in the preseason as this guy is going to be a big player. And I was the only one. I was the only one.
You could have it, Matt, because
Thank
I most
you.
certainly was not. I most certainly was not. And then to get in to see just how strong socially you were and how much of a lock you had on things and how much of a glue you were for the Pretty Boys Alliance. It was just like, no, man, this guy is really locked in a very intense way. And to see you sort of like duplicate a lot of that with lesser pieces on your side for season 12 was very interesting because I feel like in a lot of ways, yeah, you did evolve your gameplay, but it was still at the core of it, it was still sort of the same principles that you used, which again, they work. So it's just yeah, but I think if I had to choose between the two, I think season 7, because it was just so fun to watch you go through everything for the first time and to see you go as far as you did. It was just that's definitely for me. Yeah.
You know, while season 7 for me, at times watching the Pretty Boys dominate the game was not as fun because there's no opposition. It's just, you know, straight through, you know, dominance. And that's fun. Like Taryn talked a lot about it at the time of just like the impressiveness, obviously, of watching that all happen. Of course, a lot to do with you, Anthony, and with Dane and, you know, the group as a whole. But it's just like, it's a different type of game to watch. And then in season 12, when you don't have that security around you from a group right off the bat, you kind of had something going. Of course, Hot Chocolate forms and you have Victoria and you guys are trying to make it through the game together, but it was a very different environment. You are getting pieces picked off that are like numbers for you early on. Matt goes and you're like, all right, so where are we going with this? How is it going to work? But, you know, us knowing you from season 7 knew you were going to find a way through. And then, you know, to go all the way to the end of season 12 alongside Bailey, who you guys are just button heads left and right. And eventually you get on the same page. It was just one of the most insane journeys, 2-season arcs for a player that, for people who are maybe, if you're watching this and you haven't seen these seasons of BBCAN, first of all, I wish I could give you better advice on how to watch them. It's hard to, but if you ever get your hands on it, worthwhile.
Yeah,
for sure.
So
yeah, it again, 2 totally different seasons.
Yeah,
2 different groups to work with. You know, I know you mentioned like Victoria, but like, you know, having Dane is totally different than having Victoria.
I mean, you don't got to tell us.
It's a big difference, coach. But yeah, it's just, man, I feel like for me personally, it's has always been about navigation and working with the pieces that I have. Sometimes it's going to be easier. Sometimes it's going to be more difficult. Sometimes I'm going to have to pull a rabbit out my hat, but I'm a certified magician. So, you know, like I'm used to that, and I'm just really good at reading people. So that kind of really helped me in both seasons, very much so alike.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get to our first wheel spin of the day, I just want to tell you a little bit about what's been going on your 2 seasons and how they've been doing here in this bracket competition we have. Season 7, just going through the players that have come up so far. The players that have gone through to the next round, they have won their matchup. We have Chelsea, we have Kiki, we have Adam Pike, and we have yourself. Players who have not gone through, some of the earlier players, Laura, Mackie, Eddie, and then Sam, Corey, and even Mark, one of your pretty boys, did not make it through his matchup. A lot of players from BBUS they went against, so I don't think you've seen a ton of the US seasons to really fill you in on who beat them, but that's the result so far.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, wait, who is Mark up against? Did Mark get landslided?
Mark was up against Dominic from Big Brother 13. Do you know Danny Donato from the US version of the show?
Yes,
it's her husband.
Yeah.
So he didn't have the biggest resume, but we might have been, what do you think? Were we too low on Mark's game just in general to have him be out already in this competition? I know he's your friend.
Mark, you know what? I'll say this. I feel like Mark didn't get enough credit. This isn't like on the show. I mean, like from season 7. I feel like he didn't get as much credit as he deserved. Now, even though I'd say he was probably, I don't think he was as dominant as some of the other pretty boys, but his ability to, I don't want to say follow commands, but like just like do what he's told.
He's a good team player
And execute it. He was incredible at that. And that is a very tough thing to do. It's like that live to fight another day mindset where maybe your ego wants you to do something else. Maybe, you know, you have the chance to do something and he just didn't for a few reasons, but I feel like he was so good at just following direction and executing the things that we told him to do.
Yeah.
So
I think that's kind of unfortunately where I think we took some points away from him. That because you guys were the ones really leading the charge. We just found him in a matchup where we thought the other person maybe could be more capable of taking charge. So just a tough one there. But I think the majority of the pretty boys are going to be seeing the next round with you and Adam already through. And then season 12, we have a couple of people have not made it through. Donna, Dennis, Vivek, Avery, Lexus, all have lost. Matt and Goose, though, both have won their matchups. So, your early ride or die in the house. Matt, at least, moving on.
Nice.
And Goose, your vote. So
my dog. I love Goose, man. Honestly, he came over last week. Incredible person. He just like, if you see us standing side by side, it's like, like, how do these guys even become friends? Where did they meet? But he is like such an incredible person, so supportive. He's funny. Like I'm gonna be friends with Goose for the rest of my life, and definitely same thing with me. So
Yeah,
I love
Goose
that.
is awesome. I know he's listening to some of our episodes around here. Probably check this one out. So shout out as always to
What up, Goose?
But are we all ready? We want to start talking some Big Brother Canada players and
get it.
get 3 of them out of here.
Let's do
Yeah.
it, baby.
All right. Well, the fun of the project, as always, if you're new, we are going to spin this wheel. Got a lot of players from Big Brother history on them. 2 at a time. One will go through, one will stay behind, and Dougie's going to help us make all the decisions today. So, without further
Cannot wait.
ado,
Let her
let's
rip, baby.
see who's up first. We got
Bring her
plenty of
out.
7, plenty of 12 people that Dougie's played with. Let's see where we're going to get going first.
Ooh, it was
Ooh.
so close to being a Stephanie.
That was so close to a BBCAN 7 player in SD, but instead we're going to start with BBCAN 9's runner-up, Breydon.
Okay, okay.
Big Bray.
Down for a little Breydon. Okay.
Dougie, what was the time like in between your seasons? Were you really just keeping an eye on the show, majorly locked in?
Well, like I became a fan of the show after the show. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm in this part of this culture now. Like everyone's always asking my takes. I want to watch, I'm going to watch, and I got the opportunity to get invested, like people have for years. So I kept up with every season since my season, watched them all the way through. I was never really a live feeder, but I kept up with Twitter. I feel like if you really keep up with Twitter, they're going to give you what you really need to know. So
yeah, exactly.
So hard to forget this guy here, Breydon. I'm sorry. Do you have something else?
Well, I was just gonna say it's interesting because we had the pleasure of talking with Chelsea BBCAN or BB26 winner this past week, and she kind of voiced a similar opinion where it's like, damn, like or a similar experience rather, where it's like once you're on the show, everyone just comes to you expecting you to have opinion after opinion after opinion after opinion. And it can be a little jarring at first, especially if you weren't really like that locked in beforehand. So, but I'm glad to see that you were like, you're finding how to get the flow of information because it's a lot. Big Brother is a lot. Okay, like even for people that have played, it's a lot. Okay, so
it's very time consuming, and it's like the more you watch, the more you want to know. And the more you want to hear other people's takes.
Oh,
the more it's just more and more and more.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. We got notes on Breydon, Amon?
We do. Breydon played a relatively quiet game. He was close with Austin and also had relationships with Julie, Kyle, and Rohan. After his allies were evicted, he attached himself to the Sunsetters and eventually dismantled this alliance when he formed a final 2 with Tyshawn. Breydon often found himself as the pawn, but turned up at the latter portion of the game, winning 3 comps in a row. After Tyshawn won the final HOH comp, he chose to bring Breydon with him. However, Breydon's passive game wasn't respected against Tyshawn's dominant gameplay, and he lost by a vote of 6-1.
Yeah, social butterfly for sure. Him and Austin, that friendship was really a big part of the early part of the season. And then somebody that, Doug, very well, Victoria comes through and tears them apart. She had been a little loyal to the 2 of them and eventually decided she was done with that. But Breydon gets the upper hand because he's going to make it all the way to the end of the game where she does not. But what do you remember about watching Breydon play?
I remember thinking that he played an incredible social game. I feel like I learned about what a social game is while I was on my season. And I feel like he was incredible at navigating and making sure that he would go further into the game. So attaching yourself to the right people and, making sure that if push ever comes to shove, you're not going to be taking out is just so key in this game, especially when you're in there. So it's like, I think he was just so good socially. And for him to be able to win, to see himself through to the end and guarantee some safety, definitely add some notches on his belt. So,
yeah, I think he obviously fell into a comfortable position very early on, which was good, but also sort of, I think, something that cut him off from really having a lot of options towards the middle of the game, which is why you started to see him get on the block a little bit more and use as a pawn. Now, granted, we didn't really receive a lot of eviction votes, so that's good. He was still very well liked in the house. I just think that it was to that point where it was like, we like you, we don't want to see you go, but we're also not going to include you in our plans quite yet.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like a nice spot to be, but it's also kind of, it's very hard to be in that position, because how do you gain power? How do you claw your way to the top, and how do you change your narrative going into the late game? So I think I don't necessarily know if winning comps is what he needed to do. I just think that he needed to throw his weight a little bit more in the beginning, and really be more of a voice of, this is who we need to go after. This is what needs to be done. Because even with Austin winning HOH early on in the game, it was like, I feel like we didn't really get out players that really would have benefited your position that well. So I think that Breydon probably does well in every season that he's on. And he's one of those people that's like, yeah, I want to see you come back, because now that you know what you know, and you combine it with what you've already got going on for you, what does that kind of game look like? But all around, very decent social game player for sure.
Trying to remember, week 9 HOH puts up Beth and Tara. Eventually Beth gets evicted there, which was, a very interesting trajectory for the two of them, because they were very friendly early on in the game. They had a good vibe going. And then as the game goes on and Beth is getting so close to Jed and Ty, she's not giving Breydon all the information anymore. And Breydon realizes that she's only kind of using him. And I think Breydon was really clocking a lot of, like, I guess I'll use the word fakeness, for lack of a better word, from Beth, where she was just kind of only coming to Breydon when she needed him for something in the game. And, I think he was very aware of that. Eventually just gets so close to Ty, who is ultimately going to be the winner, of course, and that's what brings them to the end of the game. But Ty just was so well-rounded, where Breydon was really focused or really able to capitalize on his social game. Ty had all of it. Ty had comps, social, strategic, working with other players to get plans to really be pushed through. So Breydon, certainly deserving of a win at the end, and did get at least one vote, but Ty was just a little bit more, again, well-rounded, impressive, all that stuff at the end, but certainly a worthwhile pick here to get us started.
Yeah. So I actually did the jury roundtable for that season.
You did.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
The jury. So I got basically, you get prepped by production. They're like, we know. Basically, they sat me down. They're like, we know how influential you are. You need to be extremely cautious with your words. We are going to give you questions, but we're also going to open the floor for you to, kind of let it flow, feel the group out a little bit, but we will pull the plug at any moment if we feel you are convincing these people of what you want, right? I'm like, man, I get it. I'm not going to do anything, just talk to them a little bit. But I remember talking to them, and them basically at the beginning, it was, we're going to vote for, because the final three was Breydon, Tara, and Tashawn, right?
Yeah.
So they were, like, Tashawn was near the bottom of the list of who they were going to vote for.
Oh, wow.
And I remember saying, like, well, why though? Right? Like he, like you said, he played an incredible game. He was a social beast. He was never in danger. He aligned himself with the right people. Like, when are we going to start appreciating what a social game is, right? Like, also, like, because they were talking about comps, and they were, talking about how Breydon was winning, and, all of this. And I was like, yeah, but what about the social game, right? I was still a little butthurt over the loss to Dane. So, I was like, look, like, it's not all about competitions. This game is far more than that. And I think we need to keep our minds open to that. So, to see how it all played out, and to see how kind of they, got to their decision, like, it kind of gave me an insight as to what it was like inside the house for them, because it's totally different, right? You could watch just an episode, right? You could be a live feeder, or you're inside the house. You're going to have different opinions. You know what I mean? So I think Breydon played an incredible game, and should things have gone differently in that last week, you know, he could have potentially won that. So
Yeah.
So you're feeling like you were feeling like Tashawn was at the bottom of their rankings. Was it Breydon won or Tara won as far as most?
I think it
likely?
was Breydon won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at him go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the
Interesting.
likability factor. Just if nothing else, he made zero enemies. Even Beth, the one that he gets evicted, she had to understand that she was only using him at the times that she needed to use him. Otherwise, still likable guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I did forget about that you were there hosting that roundtable. So I'm glad you reminded us. Who did season? So that was season 9. Season 10. I don't know. I'm never going to remember. But I know Kevin Jacobs comes back for 11. And then did he also do it in 12? I think he did it in 12 too, right?
I think so. Wait.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anthony's never on the jury to.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like. I don't know what that's like.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think he did do season 12 as well.
It sounds familiar.
AJ.
All right, we got to get Breydon an opponent here to see who's gonna go through to the next round, Breydon or unknown player to come up here.
Okay.
And it's gonna be speaking of season 10, Jess Gowling.
Okay. Interesting.
Jess.
This is interesting. Interesting.
They were not the most well-liked person in that house, if I recall. I remember having fun watching this gameplay, but yeah, I don't think they were the most well-respected game player. Kevin definitely had his work cut out for him trying to play the game with Jess. That's my quick, immediate memories. Amon, do we have notes on Jess?
We do. Jess, and outside for the majority of their time in the house, Jess was evicted to minimal fanfare. They made plenty of impact while in the game, having won few competitions. And that's literally all we have.
Season 10, Dougie, again, the same time frame in between your seasons, so you're keeping an eye on this pretty closely. You remember Jess?
I do remember Jess. I'll keep this short and sweet. I enjoyed watching Jess because I like watching chaos. Yes. You know what I mean? I don't like if I were in the house, this wouldn't have been good, and I just would have snapped my fingers and they would have been gone. But watching things like that evolve, I like seeing people argue. I like people having conflict. So I in terms of entertainment, I would definitely give Jess some points. But up against Big Breydon, it's a no for me.
Yeah, I mean, just like it was interesting because I feel like they just I mean the personality was just a little grating. I mean, it just was what it was. It just was what it was. Like no one really wanted to talk to them that much. They even knew that themselves. I feel like I remember there was a post-game interview that they did. Maybe it was with Taryn or somebody, I forget, where they were like, yeah, like I just seemed like I could not seem to get in good with people. Like they were able to win, but their wins were just usurped by other people. Kevin Jacobs for one, and getting back to Tanisha to get up out of there, which I was pissed off.
That's the whole thing. It's like what? Because there was like, I feel like my memory of that situation was that there was no need to go after Tanisha at that moment, but Jess was feeling a little, I don't know if insecure is the way to put it, about the Tanisha, Summer, and Betty alliance. And yeah, that's the siblings. And
it was just, sorry, go ahead.
No. Just it felt like, maybe a lack of way into that group was making Jess nervous. And then, of course, the Kevin influence had a lot to do with the entire game, but definitely Jess's HOH.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly it. It's just they were so isolated, and they knew that they were isolated, and they tried a lot. They couldn't make it happen socially. So the next thing you can do is, if you win a competition, bulldoze your way through. And that sometimes works, but I think that there's just still too many people that are left in the house after your HOH is done, that you're going to have that hard time. Unless you build that connection with somebody, you're going to continue to have a hard time. And even though Herman was a very big and loud personality in the house, and they tried to go after them. Them survive, or Herman surviving is ultimately what's going to be your undoing, because even if people are also agreeing with you, Jess, that Herman needs to go, they still like Herman. They don't really like you. You know what I mean? And that sucks. That sucks, because then it all comes very much to show when the reason that you go out is a safety chain.
Yeah.
Like, hello. So yeah, I feel like they really tried, and I agree with you, Anthony. That's what I like to see in someone too. Like, it was a lot of chaos, but they were playing. They tried very, very hard. They just could not seem to really get in good, and that's it's a social game at the end of the day.
The safety chain is so tough. I mean, because that was coming right off Jess's HOH week. So Tanisha goes, and then immediately we go into this twist of safety chain. And I think it was like an hour later that Jess is walking out the door right after Tanisha. So Tanisha's happy. But oh boy, that was tough. And you're up on the block against Gino. You know, that man is someone I want to evict if I'm playing against him in the house. But Marty and Helena tried, and of course the drama is going to fall out from there, but wasn't enough. Jess was just too much of, I guess, just a common target for people to say, yeah, we're trying to wrap this up.
Yeah. And you know, to go with what you said, Amon, like, your HOH in the first half of the season, it's literally to build relationships. That is the main point. You shouldn't just be thinking, you know, who is not good. Of course, you have to think of who's not good for your game, but you need to use this power to get people on your side, and not just for this week, but for the longevity of the game. And I feel like thinking about the end game was not in the forefront of their.
No. They were in survival mode, like, from day one. Self-inflicted survival mode, though.
Yeah.
So.
Anthony, I think we're hinting at to which way you were going to vote here. I'm not sure that it's a tough decision, but we'll lock it in anyway. Breydon, our runner-up of BBCAN 9 versus Jess, 11th place. You know, still passed a lot of other placements to get to that spot of BBCAN 10. But official vote, Dougie?
King Breydon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and echo that. I'm gonna have to go for Mr. Breydon over Jess. But it was BBCAN 10, early BBCAN 10 was great, and Jess is a big reason as to why. So
we check on BBCAN 10 because I feel like a lot of players, in my mind, without remembering exactly where everybody goes, people that are not named Kevin Jacobs are going to have a hard time making it through for that season, in my mind. And I'm totally wrong. So far of BBCAN 10, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other players make it through. Jess joins Moose as the only players to be eliminated from the bracket so far.
Yeah,
tough stuff there. But let's get back to the wheel here and do our next spin of the day to start the second competition.
All right.
Come on, we have 2 seasons available here, 7 or 12 we could go to get someone that you've played with, and we do. Look at that, Janine.
There we go.
Season 12. This is honestly, the wheel couldn't have picked a better player because well, unfortunately for Janine, the wheel couldn't have picked a better player. But Dougie, I mean, no one is more responsible for this eviction than you. Brutal.
Yeah. You know, I
this is all your fault. You can say approach this however you want to, but
you know, when I realized, like, it was the first HOH was me or Victoria, and one of us had to make a decision, and we only had a select number of players to choose from. That was honestly a lot more difficult than what they showed. You know, with the whole house wanting Tola gone, you know, with like the girls being like, we love you, and you know, we're together forever, and you know, we need to send home Tola or send home a guy. I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's probably not going to work out that way. Maybe you guys shouldn't have told me that you started an alliance all girls with the entire female half of the house. That's definitely not good for me. But I did like a bit of her campaign. I did feel like, a lot of people, like if someone like me puts you on the block and you're first to go up, first of all, it's extremely mentally draining to realize that you could be the first to go. I don't know what that feels like. I'm just assuming. But I think that given her circumstances, I did like the fight that I saw. I did think that, she campaigned in the first place. Now, playing 2 seasons, I've played with people who have literally not campaigned at all. So for me, seeing somebody campaign and to actually play the game is great to watch. So even though she went out first, I got a first-hand glimpse of her heart, and how much she did really want to play the game and stay in there, and she didn't just decide to roll over and die.
Yeah.
As a fan, I was not happy. I thought I saw plenty of spark and fight in her, and I was like, she's going to be a fun personality on this season. And then Dougie says, yeah, and that's exactly why she's bad for my game, and I have to get her out first. So,
yeah. Well, what a lot of people don't know as well is, so I sat down with Victoria, who I presume to be the leader of this all-girls alliance. And Victoria, I was like, yeah, like I won. And it was like, great. Yeah. And it was like, okay, so who are we going to send out? And Victoria, right off the bat, but I knew that I know how Victoria is. So I knew that she was just going to say the guys. So the way I set it up was, I was like, look, okay, I want this to be a decision that we make for our game. And first I want to talk about the guys, right? Like, which guys do we not like? Which, first of all, I would have never considered, regardless of what she said. But then after that, so it's like, I'm building her up, like, and then I'm like, okay, well, what about the girls, right? Who are the girls we don't like? And Janine was the first name she said. Like, she was like, I can't really stand her, and she's like, she definitely the type to go after all-stars and this and that. I was like, oh, well, there it is right there. It literally was just that. Yeah. And then I had to kind of dig around because I wanted this to be unanimous. I also wanted to build a relationship with other people. So I kind of opened the floor and planted a couple seeds to see if people would bite on it and give me any kind of incriminating information. And I did hear that she definitely said, at the beginning, the All-Stars, whether or not she led the charge, she definitely agreed and said that the All-Stars need to go.
Yeah.
There's plenty of more than enough ammo that I need to create something to get her to go unanimously and to have still blood on my hands, right?
Yeah.
See, I always, for me, like anybody else, like every time there's a mixed season, I'm always like, newbies, y'all better try it. Y'all better try and get these all-stars up out of here, because I hate to see all-stars just run the game all the time, right? So like when they were doing that, I was like, this is great, but you also just have to know how to do it in a way that you're not gonna get chopped immediately.
And that never works.
and it never works. And I feel like with Janine, I think what really does her in here is her refusal to throw the people under the bus that already threw her under the bus.
Yep.
Like everyone already, like Spicy V done already said your name, and then once your name was out there as a potential first target, all the girls that were around you that were about to be a part of this big sisters alliance, they all scatter.
Yep.
And they go and tell Spicy V and Anthony the same thing, like, oh yeah, well, Janine, she's over here. And then you sit down with Janine, and Janine's like, no, well, I can't. No, girl. At that point, you got to pivot. You have to. There's no other way to do it, or else, what else is there? Like, you've already put yourself in the position. You've done it. Now you got to get out of it. And if you're not willing to do that, then there's really not much. There's no room for you to move.
Right.
So,
again, like when you realize that you are sorry. when you realize like you're in this wedge in the road and you've got to make some quick decisions, pivot, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, bend the knee and throw everybody. Do whatever you can to get this target off of your back, because you never know what can come from that. You know what I mean? Like, if like, I'm, first of all, if I'm ever in danger, which again, 2 seasons, never been in danger. But if I was ever in danger, I am throwing everybody under the bus. Like, let's just talk about my season with Kayla, for example. Like, when I like finessed everybody into thinking that Kayla should be the target instead of Lex,
Brutal.
it was like, I felt like I was in trouble at that point. Like, if I lost Lex at that point, it would have been significantly harder for me to get further in the game with this beasting female alliance that is just so good at everything. You know what I mean? So, but again, like, Kayla just rolled over, like, didn't throw anybody under the bus, just left with grace and was like, you know what? Like, screw you guys. I know what you're doing, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, like, not to say that I like what Victoria did, because that cost me my game a bit, or made it more difficult. You know, but she just snitched, like, fully snitched everything and threw some lies in there. Also zero accountability for herself. That's neither here nor there. But it's like, I would just like to see people really fight. You know what I mean? Instead of just roll over.
She was so intent on like the whole Girls Alliance thing, wanting to see a girl winner, which I understand. So like, in that respect, like, if that's really what she wanted to put her stake in, then so be it. But at the same time, like, it does really lock you in the position of not always doing the best thing for your game. And that's what happens with a lot of alliances that are so like loyal to the soil. Like, even with the cookout, like, a lot of them put themselves in positions that were not good for their winning game. But they did it because they believed in something bigger than themselves. And so, like, you know, I'll give it to her for that. I'm glad she showed a lot of loyalty, because she could have easily have just thrown so many people under the bus, but she was like, I just can't do it. I'm not doing it. But all right, well then bye. That's just kind of what it is. That's what it is.
I thought Janine had potential, but I think that was the problem. I think that that's what, not just you, but I think you know, a couple other people in the house realized she could be a little bit more of a gamer and a threat. And if she's on the block week 1, you just take her out. She was an easy person to blame for a lot of the stuff that was happening, and it just kind of all really fell apart super quickly for her, which I, again, felt bad about, because I feel like she was a big fan of the show coming into the game, but somebody has to go first. Somebody has to go.
Should I still read the notes just for posterity?
Oh, we didn't do that yet? Sure.
Janine, a massive super fan of the game. Janine came in excited to play hard and immediately was one of the main vocalists for an all-girls alliance. However, Victoria leaked the alliance to Anthony and placed the blame on Janine for the creation. Anthony was named HOH and he targeted her. Janine failed to gain any traction in her campaigns, as she refused to throw any of the other women under the bus, even after Victoria admitted to Janine that she was the leak in the Girls Alliance. On day 13, Janine was evicted by a unanimous vote of 11-0.
Yeah, so that was everything we just said. So I guess we didn't need them, but good to have them. But I get real quick though. Last thing, Dougie, the other person on the block against Janine ends up being Avery. I can't remember exactly who was in the pool of people that you could have picked on that side that lost the comp. I think that's how it went, right?
Yeah,
but
Avery, Matt, Tola, and Todd.
Either way, very intentional, I imagine, to put specifically Avery up there, who is running into the game.
She was the other one. She was
Spicy
the
V,
other one.
I love you, Spicy V. You know,
she was the main one. When the first episode, we saw her being like, these all stars, get them out of here.
I forgot about
the main one. She was the first one to say it, and Janine was.
But you know, once she's on the block, and again, her and Spicy linked up, you know, she was never going to go. It was always going to end up being Janine at that point, which is, I think, what you guys wanted. So what you wanted. So. There we go. All right. Well, Janine is the first name in matchup number 2 here. And look, for a first boot, always a tough hill to overcome in a matchup here, but it's been done before. So let's see where we're going next. Pick number 4 of the day is going to be Interesting.
Oh, is it about to be? Oh, that was close. That was close.
Who is it about to be?
A Nick.
You wanted a Nick?
Well, isn't she also like first boot?
Oh, a second, but you wanted a like early matchup.
Yeah, because that would have been an interesting convo.
Fair game.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that you might have been hyped like maybe Victoria was about to come up or something.
No.
But instead, we have Big Brother Canada 5's Emily, one of the more low-key players in the game. But personally, I'm a big fan of Emily. She popped into the RHAP live event that we had in Toronto during the season, and what a lovely human being. So
Okay.
let's talk about Emily for notes first this time, Aman.
Emily started her game off quietly, but developed a relationship with Dylan. In week 2, Demetrius won HOH and put them both on the block. After week 2, she was part of the BLK and Saint, Black and Saint Alliance, along with
Netta's clothes, her clothing line.
Oh, I was like, why does it look familiar? Okay, after week 2, she was part of the Black and Saint Alliance, along with Dylan, and was kept safe through her connections. Her downfall was brought upon quickly when William won HOH in week 5. William originally wanted to target Dylan, so naturally, he nominated Dylan and Emily. Emily was seen as a bigger threat due to her awareness and intuition. She was later evicted on day 34.
Doug, you have a question that has nothing to do with Emily here, but on the topic of BBCAN 5, of course, that's a season that has half returning players. You play 2 seasons later, and I'm sure you get out of the house thinking, about the next time that maybe you'll get a chance to play. Were you hoping for a BBCAN 5 type format with like half returnees, or were you happy with what you got?
Yeah, I always production basically told me when I came off of season 7 that they're bringing me back.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna throw the names, but when you come off the stage, you get to talk with people, and they kind of tell you, and they all told me easily one of the greatest games they've ever seen in their lives. And they, would I do it again? And eventually we're gonna call you, basically. Mm-hmm. So when I was going on, I didn't know it was season 12 that I was going on, but when I got the call, I thought it was going to be full All-Stars. And whether or not it was full All-Stars or half All-Stars, I was assuming I was going to be the biggest target, regardless of who's in the house.
Let's get into talking about Emily here. Anthony, you have any strong memories of Emily? She's obviously, again, one of the quieter players of the season. She's got the showmance with Dylan, and she's amongst the newbies. So, again, you've played with the newbies. She's that season's group of newbies.
Yeah, I mean, I remember her having a really strong relationship with Dylan. I liked their relationship from the outside. As a Big Brother player who's played with showmances inside the house, I hate them. Minus, Lex and Matt, I love that. That was obviously to my advantage, I think. But I remember her kind of being when you look at a showmance, right? There's always, for the most part, the dominant player in that showmance. And if you're the dominant player in the showmance, and let's just say, you both get put up on the block, the dominant player is going to go, right? So I feel like I liked that she, whether or not she looked at it that way, she fell in love. She was really into Dylan. They were, spending all their time together. It was great. But I like that she was in a position where, if push comes to shove, he's a bigger target than me. Yep. Right. And I did like watching her. I felt like she had a good take on the game. And, if HOHs went a little bit differently, she potentially could have went further.
Yeah. Her connection with the returnees was really strong in that season. Don't think it was, I guess with the gameplay that we saw from her, Aman, I feel like it wasn't enough that we would have ever really had a likely chance of her winning at the end, again, just being attached to the returnees in the way that she was. Like, she was really good with Netta for a period of time. She got in really good with Kevin and Bruno. But the problem with that is, these players that are you go to the end of the game with them, you're not going to have an easy time beating them unless you really impress people along the way. But as far as like her managing to stay alive while playing with these sharks, I was, perfectly fine with what we saw.
Yeah.
I feel like Emily, I feel like she was trying to like rev up into like a really, really good spot. I think that there was, like you said, Anthony, a little bit of distraction going on with the Dylan thing. But I did always feel like out of the two of them, especially in the early parts of the game, I felt like Emily's head was in the game more so than Dylan's. And I think that she tried. I think, when she was during the veto ceremony, she did a good job of trying to explain that to people. She was like, look, like, y'all are worried about me, but Dylan is much more of an issue physically. Like, I haven't, like, why are we coming after me? But at the same time, I feel like people could also see, like, you are much more willing to actually make and break deals and be a little bit more flexible. I mean, look, you're already throwing Dylan under the bus, which, I mean, she had no choice at that point, but like, she also clocked Kevin in that speech too, if I remember correctly, where she was like, y'all need to be focused on Kevin too, because what has he been doing this whole time? He's been flip-flopping and everything. And like, is this like Kevin's doing, or is this Willie Williams doing, or is it Kevin's doing? Like, what's going on? Those two have been cuddling a lot lately too. So like, I just think that people were just like, yeah, you gotta go, sis.
Straight though.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like she was. I think that I feel like if she had really found a better group of players in the beginning, maybe she would have been in a better spot.
I think her more impressive week was she's on the block week 2 against Dallas. And while Dallas is already a target and people wanted to get him out, wanted to get a returnee out, and he was a great returnee for them to strike at that point. I feel like she did a lot of good campaigning that week as well, just to make sure that she wasn't going to be the one to go. Because easily you could see the returnees with an option of a returnee versus a newbie. Returnees stick together and say, we need to get the newbie out of here and keep our numbers. But they also wanted to eat their own at a certain point, which is the danger of a season like that with half returnees. So scary stuff out there. But Emily, I don't know. Again, I was pretty satisfied for the time that she was in the game. What she was able to bring to it. Winning a round 1 matchup here, I think, is definitely possible. I'm gonna cast my vote first here, and I'm gonna vote for Emily. How many more rounds after this could I see her going? I'm not too sure. But Dougie, you want to jump on with this vote, or are you going to vote for Janine and maybe give her some love after you got her out first?
I do want to give some love to Janine. When I look at both players, obviously I got to see Janine more. Like, I feel like they also didn't show, like, I felt horrible about doing that to Janine. Her being just such a super fan, and the damage she would have done in this game, potentially to me, would have been great as a viewer to watch. But like, even after the fact, just like how she campaigned, she's very soft spoken. She's fiery when it comes to getting what she wants. So let's not get it twisted, but very soft spoken. She's a mom. She's a wonderful person. So for me, it was like, just like, painful. And if there were somebody besides the guys and besides Avery that was in that pool, that could have been a bigger target later on in the season, I could have potentially done whatever I needed to do to get whatever I wanted.
You could have been swayed. You could have been swayed into keeping.
But again, M went further. She, made sure that she had some connections in the house to get her through a few weeks. Whereas like Janine wasn't able to establish that at all. So it's tough because I'm a bit biased, but I promised myself I wouldn't be biased coming into this. So
we allow bias here. You can vote whoever you want.
I got to give it to M. As much as I love Janine, I just think that, like, lasting 34 days in the house, establishing a showmance, and like her campaign run, I kind of got to give it to M to be.
I mean, it's I understand, the desire to be biased towards somebody that but also if you're specifically trying to not be biased, nobody knows Janine's game better than you. And so if it wasn't there, it wasn't there. It's unfortunate, but again, she seems like a neat lady. Aman, do you want to make it a 3-0 vote or show any love to Janine?
I will be no, I'm kidding. I am going to vote for Emily as well.
Yeah,
I do think that the biggest critique for Janine with me was just the adaptability of it all, which is something that Emily showed that she was able to do. So
yes. All right. Well, 3-0. Emily goes through. Janine, unfortunately, evicted here. Joining, who else was it? A good amount of players from BBCAN 12. Donna and Dennis and Vivek and Avery and Lexus. Small amount of people making it through this season here.
Getting chopped off.
But
I'm upset Dennis didn't make it through.
It was tough. Michael Bruner, Big Brother 24, one of the comp beasts, setting records in Big Brother US comps.
It was a bad matchup for him. Tough. We tried because I think he came on after he was on the show with us, right?
He came up after he was on the show,
so we really wanted to be able to say let's push him through, but it just didn't work out.
Comes the breaks. All right, well, back to the wheel. 2 more players to pull today. Let's get player number 5. AKA player number 1 of this matchup. And it's going to be, oh, that's so funny. The player Sarah Miller. I don't know. I was looking at the wheel earlier and I was like, I wonder if Sarah's going to come up today. Hey, I guess I'm a psychic. Mumsy, BBCAN.
Okay, so that's Mumsy, right? Okay,
Mumsy.
Yeah.
Yes. Dougie, any chance you've run into Sarah before? I just feel like she's at all the events, and obviously the events kind of slowed down by season 12, but maybe season 7.
So season 7, I still at that point never watched.
Oh, right. You hadn't.
I'd only seen the
seasons yet. Yeah.
Like I found out I was going to be on the show 2 weeks before I went on. Was sequestered, and then I was like, oh shit. I better watch this thing. So I remember literally binging season 6, which I was falling asleep through, and it would keep running. And then I was like, fuck, let me try season 5, and I got halfway through season 5, still falling asleep. But so I really had no idea who any of it. Like I come off and go to the alumni weekend at season 7. I was late. Right. I showed up the next day and I walk into the center and it's all alumni and they're like, oh my God, Anthony. And I'm like,
introduce yourselves, please.
I don't know who any of you are.
That is very funny because the BBCAN alumni circle, as you obviously know by now, very close community of people. Like a lot of, every year the finale parties were, always seemed to be fun. Some lifelong friendships were formed throughout this group of people, but specifically Mumsy, Sarah Miller, I know, is just somebody who is one of the nicest people from what I've heard. I don't think I've ever met her myself, but just seems to be a big bright light in the alumni world. Aman, do we have notes on Mumsy?
We do. Sarah, a member of the infamous First 5 Alliance. She was nominated in place of Kenny after he saved himself post the alliance being blown up and exposed. As new alliances were formed because of the knowledge of the First 5, Sarah was evicted.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a ton to really speak about when it comes to Sarah myself, just because I feel like her game just came down to she was very good socially, just as she is outside of the house. She stuck by Kenny, a friendship that is still, as far as I can tell, just as strong today as it was when they met. But just kind of ended up on the wrong side of the numbers there. And also I would imagine that, the Nettas of the world, the strong players that made it to the end of that game also recognized Sarah is a big social threat and we shouldn't let her get very deep while she's attached to Kenny. Kenny wins that veto. Sarah has to go. But Dougie, did you really sink your teeth into BBCAN 2 when you rewatched it or watched it for the first time?
So I watched BBCAN 2 when I was sequestered for season 12.
Okay.
It was one of the seasons that they gave a little DVD for, and I loved that season. I thought it was great. I do remember her being extremely good socially,
Yeah.
which is very hard to do. Like to be able to sit down in a room with any type of person from any walk of life, and be able to have a good time or, relate in some way, is very difficult. So
Mhm.
when you see somebody like that be able to just make so many good friends and have people on her side, I think that is a strong, definitely a strong trait in the game of Big Brother. Um, but yeah, I feel like the alliance being exposed was extremely detrimental to her game, and she
Yeah.
caught the shit end of the stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think Sarah, obviously a nice, I feel like she definitely was sort of like the mom of the group, which I hate to say just
Yes.
because she is a mom, but like that's sort of like the role that she took on. And I think that that's sort of like that was her team. That's what she decided that she was going to be loyal to. That's what she wanted to do to the end of the game. And the problem is that like the alliance was just so open. It was only a matter of time for things to get exposed. And sloppy seconds comes along, and while everyone likes Mumsy and while everyone is, okay with being around her, like if they can't go after the more crazy players or the bigger players, you're the only one that's really left because, Kenny took himself off the block. People early on were like, Sabrina, we ain't got to worry about Sabrina. And like that's just kind of where it is. Like they just say you take her out. They got rid of Andrew, they get rid of Kenny at some point. Like it just is what it is at that point. So it's like, I think that she just didn't pivot fast enough. The alliance was just too overexposed. Even Arlie defected from the alliance, gave all sorts of tea as to what was going on and how much they had been controlling everything in the beginning. So there was just nowhere for her to go at that point.
Yeah, she was the mom of the house. I mean, it's not, you don't always want to like put that on the woman who comes in the house that is a mom already, but I do feel like she adapted into that
Her natural
role.
instincts were just to
It
be
just
that
happened.
presence.
It just
Yeah.
it just comes naturally. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like even like on season 7, we had Mama K.
Mhm.
She very much so took on that role. She was the best cook. She was so caring and gentle until she didn't get her way. And then and then the disciplinary mama came out. But yeah, like it just comes natural.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to see. It's also for me, having somebody that just wants to cook all the time,
Yeah.
is wonderful. But yeah, again, it's who she is as a person, and I feel that her ability to be that caring and gentle and kind, kind of like attributed to her social game.
And she can still get feisty with the rest of them too. Like she was not afraid to get into it. I remember her and Ike got into it over some damn bacon at some point. So
yeah,
you'll get into it.
Yeah, big fan of Sarah. If nothing else, as a human being, but definitely also feel like a pretty worthwhile player. Could easily win a matchup here, but also may just as easily lose. Depends on the strength of who we pull next. And let's do it. Final player of the day here with Anthony Douglas. Who's it going to be?
Will it be?
Well, we talked about this person before, so let's talk about the Big
Oh
Brother
wow!
2010,
Okay.
Tanisha.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay.
Why not? BBCAN 10 back on the clock here. And Tanisha, who, as we mentioned, was evicted by somebody else who came up on the wheel, Jess. Sure.
Yeah. But really, Kevin.
But really, Kevin. That
Yeah.
goes for everybody from that season. So,
Yeah.
notes on
All right.
Tanisha.
Notes on Tanisha. Tanisha started the game being a part of the Savage 7 and the Mandems, while also being closely aligned with Summer and having close bonds with Betty, Herman, Moose, and Helena. Her game would start to unravel after many house guests noticed how influential she was. Kevin convinced Jess to nominate Tanisha as a pawn. Her ally Helena secretly turned on the Mandems due to Tanisha and Summer suggesting her as the replacement nominee to Jess. Despite believing she had the votes to stay, her former ally Helena flipped on her, and she was blindsided by a vote of 5-4.
Speaking of moms, mom versus mom. Whoa.
Yeah,
We got Nina in this episode. It's almost all moms here today. So what a theme of this episode. Tanisha, yes, comes into the game, single mom, ready for this experience, ready to play the game. Like you said, just connects with Summer and Betty, and this group just seemed like they were going to get right on into the jury phase of the game. And then things kind of come crashing down, a little bit too much attention on them as a group. And Tanisha takes the first hit while Summer and Betty both go on to at least make to the jury phase of the game. Dougie, have you met Tanisha?
Yeah, I've met her. Great girl. I loved her on the season. You can, when you meet somebody, she's very bubbly. She's very kind. She's sweet. She's funny. So you can kind of see how they would be inside of the house as a newbie and not knowing anybody. Just was doing really well socially. Set herself up with multiple different groups in the game, and I felt like was going to be a powerhouse. But this little thing called Kevin Jacobs just did a fantastic job at mathematically calculating what was best for him, and I feel like he was responsible for Tanisha going. I do feel like he could have convinced Helena otherwise, and we saw how it unfolded, right?
Yeah. Totally. Just I feel like she just gets taken out of nowhere. Like it just was, again, she was coasting through with her girls, and all of a sudden Jess needs a renom. Tanisha goes up, and Kevin organizes to make sure that this vote goes to take her out. Made sense for Kevin.
It's one of those things where you really have to know how to make everybody in your alliance feel like they are a part of the alliance.
Yeah.
But there was already sort of like this close-knit type of thing going on between Tanisha, Summer, Herman, and Moose. Like there was like this really just sort of like unspoken little bubble with those four that I feel like Helena could already see, and Helena already kind of self-admittedly doesn't really like confrontation, sort of is sort of like used to sort of being overlooked. And I feel like going into it with that insecurity, and not in a bad way, but when I say insecurity, but just having that as part of like your personal history, I think makes you very susceptible to being influenced by somebody else, or just being like, I don't, just constantly having to have your head on a swivel, being like, I think these people are going to betray me. And she wasn't wrong. Tanisha and Summer were like, she's exposable or dispensable. We can get rid of her. And Helena was like, no, I think I'm going to try to get one ahead. And a lot of it was through a lot of the ushering of Kevin. But again, it's just like, you really have to make sure that if you're going to form an alliance, everyone's going to feel included. If they don't feel included, they're going to flip.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. So, yeah.
This is an interesting matchup.
I had a very hot and cold relationship, like parasocial relationship with Helena during BBCAN 10, because like I understood a lot of the motivations for what she was doing, but sometimes I was like, oh girl, but like none of these moves are yours. Like you're just going for what you think is going to make Kevin happy, or like it just, I mean, in a lot of ways it was very beneficial for her as well, and she made it very, very close. But I was like, but it doesn't really feel like it's just you, girl. But like whatever. I have to get over it.
I think Helena's already in the next round, so we'll save the rest of that for when she comes up again. Interesting matchup here, because both of these two women were sent home on a vote that was made a difference by one vote. Sarah goes home on a 4-3 vote, and Tanisha goes home on a 5-4 vote. So like, it doesn't really help with this decision-making process of, and they both went out around the same time, like right before jury begins. So it's like incredibly close. These moms kind of really just, I think, is going to come down to personal preference of whatever you see in these players that you think is just a little bit more that you would trust on a season of Big Brother. Dougie, what are you thinking?
It's tough, but then again, I feel like it's not that tough. I feel like, when you're in a season that has multiple pockets, right? Like there's like for example, season 12. Let's just refer to mine. There were the girls and everybody else, right? And it was like, but even still within the girls, there were pockets, right? There were the guys, obviously, but within the guys, there were people who felt closer, than other people. I feel like the ability to penetrate these groups and be on good terms with multiple different groups in a season, I feel like that kind of has an edge. I feel like Tanisha did a really good job of that in the beginning, leading up to everything that kind of happened. But you also have to remember, like, things can change in 1 hour, right? Like when you're inside of that house, so much can happen in such a short amount of time. You could be left out of a conversation and your entire game could be thrown away by eviction day, So I feel like when I was watching Tanisha, I felt like I thought she was safe. She was going to go further into the game. I also kind of felt that with Mumsy, but I feel like if Tanisha didn't get renommed, she would have went further in the game. I don't think Mumsy would have went further. She was just too good with everybody. Does that make sense? Like when you're good with everybody, it's more of a problem. And if I were playing a season that started next year, I think I would align myself more with Tanisha.
Fair. I'm gonna do it and lock in a vote for Sarah. Look, the writing's on the walls that someone is gonna have to make a decision here, and I just I know for me that I have my mind made up that it's Sarah.
God.
Well, let me reason out here. I totally hear you, Dougie, when it comes to Tanisha, and just I totally agree. I feel like, again, she was in a perfectly fine position. She had her allies by her side. I don't know. It's like sometimes we have a hard time weighing the ability of a player like a Tanisha, like, I don't know, a Janine, and their ability to recognize who the power players are in the season. For Janine, being you, for Tanisha, like recognizing how important it was to have a Kevin. But the reason that Kevin's game is so good and so effective is because so many people didn't see him coming. I guess for a Janine or anybody else on BBCAN 12, like, you should have recognized, and you probably did, but couldn't do much about it, that the returning players are the ones you need to worry about. So, maybe that's just so much more credit to Kevin than it has anything to do with Tanisha. And all that is to say that for Sarah, I don't know. I just find her to be such a good social player that maybe wasn't navigating the dynamics of that house and that game perfectly at that point, because Kenny is such a big target. So to continue attaching yourself to Kenny at that point does feel like your ship is going to go down with his. And so when Kenny comes off the block and Sarah goes up and she goes home, it's like, yeah, it does make sense at that point. But you can see how much she's liked in the house, given, again, that vote being 4-3. There were still people that wanted to keep her around, just one more that wanted her to go at that point. And I might just be letting a little bit of like real life filter into here, where I have seen how many people gravitate towards Mumsy in real life, how many people within the BBCAN like alumni community love her so much. And I just feel like, I know that's not her game itself, but that speaks to how strong of a social person and player she is. Yeah. So I just have a little bit of more faith in her that she could, in any given season, find the allies to go deep, deep into the game from all sides of the house.
Yeah.
And the fun part about this is we get to make Aman make the final decision here. Aman,
cliffhanger.
Over to you.
Their games are so similar. They're very similar. And both of their votes were close. What was it? 4-3 and 5-4?
Yep.
Like, and both of them have to do with flips. Arlie flips. Helena flips. They're both moms. Oh man, who do I think is more capable at this game more often than they're not? This is tough. I feel like I think if I have to like fall back on like physicality, I feel like Tanisha was more equipped to win more of these comps than Sarah was. But not every season is the same. Comps can, change as well. So like you can't even always necessarily rely on that, but that does sort of go into a little bit for me. I do think but you know what? I do think that at the very least, Tanisha, I think, has a bit more of a killer instinct than I think Sarah does. Because I feel like they were willing to turn on their own. It was the wrong person to turn on. So there's that. Like, I think throwing Helena under the bus and then having it get back to her that you threw her under the bus is not good. But at least you were willing to do it. Whereas opposed to Sarah, I think that she was first 5 until the end. You couldn't tell her nothing. That was her crew. Those were her peeps. Those were her kids. She wasn't going to do it. Mm-hmm. And I think I value wanting to be able to adapt more so than not.
The tenacity.
So I think I'm going to have to go for Tanisha here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't know. I mean, I think Sarah, again, totally worthwhile. Could have beat many people, but as we are discussing, this is really close.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Tanisha's going through here. It seems like she is 2-1 vote. If I peek my head back into BBCAN 10 between now and round 2, I'm gonna keep an eye on her, see what else we might have been missing along the way.
Yeah.
But all right, you guys win this one. Let me recap real quick here. We just had our third matchup of the day where Tanisha from BBCAN 10 is advancing to round 2. Sarah Mumsy Miller from BBCAN 2 stays behind. Did I say 10? Whatever. You know what I'm saying. If I misspoke. Emily from BBCAN 5 advances to the next round as well. Janine from Big Brother Canada 12. Fortunately evicted by Dougie. Evicted here again by Dougie today. Them's the breaks. And then we had in the first matchup another eviction from BBCAN 10 as Jess has been eliminated from the bracket, and Breydon White, the runner-up of BBCAN 9, advances to the next round. Dougie, satisfied with today's outcomes?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like all of our I love your guys' takes. This is why I watch this show. I love that you guys are not just like, it's one thing to look at the notes on the section, but to have been there and watched and felt those emotions, it adds so much value to this because you're both such super fans and have great takes on the game, like I said. And I do think that, I do think it was easy for me on all of the decisions, minus Janine. That was tough. But I mean, getting evicted first is just kind of difficult.
Yeah,
it's insurmountable sometimes. Yeah,
the fight. But then again, right, we can't really base everything off of who went further in the game because, as we've seen, the best player, doesn't always win. And there's players that have been, pre-jurors that are better than people who have made final 3, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of got to look at everything, but I feel like we did a good job at combining our minds and giving some good takes. So,
and what a thrill, again, an honor, joy to have you here with us today. I'm glad we could finally get this to work out and get us all together. Dougie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes,
I appreciate you guys. Everybody needs to watch this show on a regular basis. This is, I to be honest, I kind of want to just start watching the US season, just so I can start doing more of these things. It's actually, I love hearing people's takes. It's just the US season has just been so difficult for me. Like I'm used to a certain format. I'm used to fights. I'm used to.
Oh, we could get you to the fights. We could direct you the right direction.
Oh, we can tell you which season.
You know what I mean? Like I like pure entertainment. I feel like there's just I just like the format of BBCAN more. I was super excited to watch BBUS because it came on right after season 7, and it was just I just couldn't get into it. It was kind of boring.
There's definitely a tonal shift between the two shows.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, starting with Arissa, I mean,
yeah,
a host like that leading the way, and sorry, but I've never seen anywhere near, the level of love and care for the show.
She
that
has her
Arissa
moments
puts on the show.
sometimes. She has her moments, but they're very far.
You're
They're
talking about
very-
Julie.
Yes, they're
Yeah, I
very
mean-
few and far between.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of Julie fans out there, so I hate to sound, but I'm trying to hype Arissa up.
It's just to the point now where it's like you just can't. It doesn't feel right without her because she's been there for the entire time. She was there since season 1.
I agree with.
It's hard. Like without Julie Chen, it's just like it just feels off. Even when we had the first time ever where we had what's his face come and join, and be the host, I was like, oh, this is cool, this is cute, but I was still missing. I was like,
I know
it feels weird.
It's a different vibe,
it feels
for
weird.
sure.
So
anyway, Dougie, in the meantime, do you want people to be finding you on social media? I don't think you're posted a whole lot these days, but if so,
yeah, I've been honestly super busy. I'm with my son all day and all night, and it's been difficult. So I haven't really been able to focus a lot on content. I still post. I'm still on there. I'm still in the mix, but it's Dougie-licious across all platforms. And yeah, come hit me up. I respond to a lot of DMs as long as they're not creepy. Like I show love back to people. But yeah, Dougie-licious on all platforms. I'm there, baby.
Let me make my plug in here first because check me out on the Free Agents podcast. We're talking all things the challenge. Dougie, you would do the challenge, right? If they called.
Yeah, I was supposed to.
Oh. Well, I don't like to hear that.
Plug was pulled on me last minute.
Was it recent?
Literally the day I was supposed to fly out.
What?
So
I hate that they do that to people. Can we like? I don't understand why it has to be that way. Like I feel like there is too much amount of preparation that goes into these shows for you to need to pull the plug on people the day of. Like we've heard that story so many times. I'm like, why is that ever necessary? Why do you not know who's going to be on the cast the day before you're flying people out? That does not make any damn sense to me. It's crazy.
No. But like, and just the way they did it was just so like unprofessional. It was just like I was so locked in. Like this was a long process that was going on. Like I had the 4-pack. I was locked the fuck in. I'd watched so many highlights. I was studying these players. I thought I was guaranteed to go on this show. I took off work. I had all my bills lined up. I was packed. I bought all I had all the Under Armour, like, you know what I mean?
No,
and then,
I am so mad to hear that. I apologize on behalf of the show that I cover, but Canada's Ultimate Challenge, we maybe go there. Something. The phone's available.
You know what? I feel like the Challenge US, you don't really have to be in peak performance. I feel like there's a bit of Big Brother to that.
There is.
And I feel like I would definitely take advantage of that. But the Ultimate Challenge in Canada,
tough.
you got to be a monster. And I don't think like I'm not like don't get it twisted. I'm an athlete. You know what I mean? Singer, songwriter, actor, model, athlete. But when you're going up against people like Adam Pike and Keenan, and you know what I mean? It's just like all they do is eat and sleep and train. They don't do anything else but train, and it's been like that for years. Keenan has an 11-pack for fuck's sakes. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like how do you even go against something like that? I would have to train. I would have to train for 4 years to be able to compete confidently against these guys. Maybe like a year and a half. But like, you know,
whatever it is, we're ready for you to get back on our screen in some way somehow. So it's been obviously not too long. So glad about that. But whenever the call comes, you know, we're ready to watch as long as you're ready to go compete. So
yeah, I'm sure you guys will see me soon.
Yeah. So thank you again so much, Dougie, for joining us today. Again, check me out on the Free Agents podcast. If you're looking for me elsewhere, check them on and I out on Patreon, patreon.com/thediaryroom. Bonus content, the battle backs, the losers brackets, you know, we're there. Come find us, come chat with us, all that stuff. Otherwise, Aman, I don't think has a whole lot to plug right now. So I'll turn the show over to him to either do that or get us out of here.
No, I am all good. I'm just hanging out here for the majority of the summer, maybe popping into over at RHAP for some BB27 late into the season. But other than that, I'm good. Our thanks to BBCAN legend, one of the best to never win, Anthony Douglas.
You had to go there.
I'm just saying. It's just
I mean, it's
part of
true, but
It's
could have just ended it at Legends.
like it's a compliment. Okay?
It is true.
Like,
It is true.
it is a compliment. I take it as a compliment.
yes.
But in that sense, I'm going to further dig into what you said and say the best to never win, not one of the best to never win. So let's go with that.
Fine, sure. I can concede to that as well.
It's all
Our-
true.
Our thanks to Anthony Douglas,
it's
the
all
best
true.
to never win. Big Brother
It's all
Canada. And until next time, guys, please go to the diary room.